Okay, so continuing on. So again, we have our thyrotropin releasing hormone. So this again is in the hypothalamus, which can either stimulate the anterior pituitary to release thyroid stimulating hormone or prolactin. So these are being produced in the anterior pituitary. Thyroid stimulating hormone stimulates the secretion of thyroid hormones. That is not super surprising. We'll talk about those thyroid hormones a bit separately. Prolactin is much more simple. It's prolactation, so think of it that way, prolactation. It initiates and maintains milk, not just secretion, but milk production. That's more accurate. So instead of like secretion, because I don't want you to think that that is what's causing milk to be released from the mammary glands, but it is causing milk production to occur. All right. And I need to exit my drawing. Okay, onward to the posterior pituitary. So again, everything up until now was hypothalamus releasing hormones that go on to affect the anterior pituitary, which then go on to release a hormone, which then goes on to do a thing. Now the posterior pituitary just has oxytocin and vasopressin, and again, posterior pituitary is our neurohypophysis, so it is simply an extension of the hypothalamus itself. Everything here, either oxytocin or vasopressin, is being produced in the hypothalamus, but being released from the posterior pituitary. So I mentioned to you guys oxytocin already. So during delivery, the baby's head is going to stretch the cervix, basically this portion of the uterus, which causes the release of oxytocin, which causes contractions of the muscles of the uterus, which causes the baby's head to enter into more of that cervical canal, which then causes more stressing, more stretching, more oxytocin, more contractions, more stretching, more oxytocin, more contractions, so on, so on, so forth, until baby and the placenta are delivered. There's no more stretching. The oxytocin release is downregulated until there's no more uterine contractions. After delivery, oxytocin will stimulate the contractions of particularly milk from the breasts. So again, whereas prolactin, just a second ago, we were saying is going to be responsible for the production of milk, the actual release of the milk is going to be due to oxytocin. There is still some uterine contractions that the oxytocin will be responsible for, but they're not nearly at the levels of what was experienced or can be experienced during childbirth. In humans, there's lots of research that shows that oxytocin is also our bonding hormone. It's especially important between mother and child. So all that oxytocin release during those uterine contractions is also priming the female's brain to really have that bond with her baby. And this is just showing you that feedback loop that I had mentioned to you about oxytocin during delivery. Vasopressin, on the other hand, it's also, we've been talking about, I'm calling it antidiuretic hormone. It can go by either name. Usually when we're talking about its functions in the kidneys and in water regulation, we're considering it, I guess it's when we talk about it in the kidneys, we call it antidiuretic hormone. It also has somewhat of a neurotransmitter effect in the brain for some reason in the neuro literature, it's called vasopressin instead of antidiuretic hormone. But anyway, we've seen this as far as its role in increasing our blood pressure, increasing water reabsorption. It also helps decrease sweating and decrease urine production via the reabsorption of water. And we've seen this, right? So again, there is receptors in the hypothalamus that's picking up on our blood osmotic pressure. So meaning that we are dehydrated. So that tells the cells in the hypothalamus to release antidiuretic hormone to retain more water, so that we can reabsorb water. If we are overhydrated, again, we've had too much water. Basically, that cells in the hypothalamus get that signal, and they say, oh, okay, I guess we don't need to release vasopressin or antidiuretic hormone, either term is fine. And instead that the release is going to be inhibited so that we are not going to retain water. We are not going to produce as much sweat, right? We're going to decrease or try to decrease our blood pressure. All right, so that was basically the hypothalamus and the anterior and posterior pituitary together. And after this, we have a few glands to go over. And I know this one's a bit of a short video, but I'm going to stop this right here because it's a good place to kind of stop. Sorry about that. I didn't want to create one very long video, so it's kind of like a mid-sized video and a short one. But anyway, if you have any questions about this material, please let me know.